Hi, Joe. One of the few absolutes in life is that 3, 4, and 5-year-olds will become 13-year-olds. And so I would like to ask you to talk about Case Middle School and share that with our prospective parents.
Sure, I'd love to. I think I have to begin by saying that the strength of the Case Middle School is its faculty. We've sought out teachers who are patient, have a good sense of humor, and genuinely enjoy working with this age group. The result is a strong relationship between teachers and students, which creates graduates who are confident and self-advocate well with adults, which is a vital skill when they go on to high school. I think an important area that we like to focus on is student life. It's very important to have middle school students engaged in their education, and so it can't just all be academics. It has to be things they enjoy. We have several elective classes that students take during the course of their 8-day schedule cycle. And in these classes, they can focus on subject areas that are of interest to them. We also encourage students to come up with their own ideas for these classes. And some of the examples that students have come up with over the past 4 years are musical theater, ping pong, the musical comedy of Tom Lear, alternative history, rock band, just to name a few. We have a strong advisory program, really promotes a strong SEL curriculum, but the curriculum is both proactive, anticipating the social emotional needs that all middle school students face, and a reactive curriculum which addresses the issues that may be unique to the current students at the middle school. Most parents, when they're evaluating in middle school, want to know about high school placement. That's sort of a standard by which middle schools are judged. And in that area, we are very strong. Over the previous 3 years, we've averaged 90% of our students being accepted into their first choice high school, and 95% of our students being accepted into their parents' first choice high school. Much more importantly than where they're accepted is their success academically when they go to those schools. Our students are all accepted into higher level math, higher level English language arts, and of course, it goes without saying that they're accepted into higher level Mandarin.
Can you tell us about the curriculum?
Sure, if I had to describe the Case Middle School curriculum, I would describe it as progressive, integrated, and interdisciplinary. I'd like to talk a little bit about our 3 international trips. One of the international trips, the Taiwan trip, is in 5th grade, which is really in the lower school. But the 2 middle school trips, the 7th grade trip to Guilin and the 8th grade trip to Yunnan, I think are key and pivotal for, as a capstone, if you will, for Mandarin instruction at Case. When students talk to me about those 2 trips, it's not so much that they learn a great deal of Mandarin, it's that they find they have a great deal of confidence. Their confidence in their Mandarin skills grows. Like the Taiwan trip, the Guilin trip incorporates a homestay component where they're living with a Chinese family. And I think that most kids feel after that experience that they're just far more confident in the skills that they already had, but now realize that they can actually use them in real world circumstances. I've asked 3 students to share their experience on these 3 trips. One is Jin, who's currently an 8th grader, who's going to be talking about his experience on the 5th grade Taiwan trip. A recent alum, Haifu, who in 7th grade went on the Guilin trip with me. We had a great time together. And then third, Charlotte, who graduated 2 years ago, who's going to be talking about her experience on the Yunnan trip as an 8th grader.
Hi, I'm Jin. I'm an 8th grader, and in 5th grade, I got to go on a Taiwan trip. My favorite part was probably the food. That was definitely a highlight, the good food, but also just having fun being abroad and being immersed in the culture of Taiwan and getting to experience what the Taiwanese culture is like. One field trip that was pretty impactful to me was when we went to the Indigenous Peoples School of Taiwan, and so we got to experience what the Indigenous people's culture is like and their place in society. And we also got to make mochi and practice archery, which is pretty fun. I also thought that this trip was extremely valuable because we got to practice our Chinese skills in a country where their native language is actually Chinese. So we got to speak Chinese with our buddies, with our families, communicate with just different people, like waiters from restaurants. And that was a super valuable part of the trip.
Hi, my name's Haifu. I'm a former K student who went the Guilin trip. The Guilin trip, there's a lot to say about this, but in short, it was probably one of the most memorable, most academically challenging, and one of the most enjoyable trips I've ever been on. It looked like in the morning we would have Chinese classes about whatever it might be, religion, about Guilin setting, about culture, and take those skills that we learned in the morning and apply them by talking to people, by ordering things, by writing down what we see in the city in the afternoon in our day trips. So, for example, one day we learned about religion, and we then in the afternoon went to a monastery to talk to some of the monks there to learn about what their life was about, interview them, write that down, and we used the skills that we learned in class to get that information. We also had overnight trips, which I think was by far the most amazing thing. We went to Longshan and we stayed at a hotel. We were able to see the secret life in that small country town that I don't think many people would go to, and it was super enjoyable. I think I bonded a lot with my friends. Guilin has kind of retained that culture it already has and hasn't really been influenced by American culture or just Western world. And I think that just makes the trip 10 times better, because let's be honest, it would be kind of weird to see a Starbucks in the middle of nowhere in like Longshan. That doesn't make sense. My favorite part about the trip was probably bonding with my buddy. My buddy and I, we were like Legos. We were super close. He loved basketball. We enjoyed eating food. We enjoyed watching movies. It was a ton of fun. A lot of my friends, we have so many good stories, and our Chinese exponentially grew.
Hi, my name is Charlotte. I'm a graduate of the class 2019 at Case, and I'm just going to answer some questions about the 8th grade Yunnan trip. I personally really enjoyed the Yunnan trip, not only because I thought it was a good balance of getting to hang out with friends and getting some quality time in with them, but also because it's a place that, I would never have really ever thought to visit until going on this trip. And after this trip, it really makes me want to go back and just kind of relive it all over again. It was a really, really fascinating place to visit. There are so many cultural experiences. I know that there was one night that we spent in Old Town Shangri-La where there was this circle dance, and a lot of my classmates and I, we all joined in and just got to sort of dance with a lot of the locals, which was really, really cool and something that I think was really unique to the trip, that you wouldn't really see anywhere else. We stayed in Kunming, which is the capital of Yunnan. We stayed in Old Town Shangri-La for a couple nights. There was one night where we stayed on an overnight train, which was really, really cool. There's a 4-night homestay in one of the local villages, which is probably one of the more notable parts of the trip. And then we stayed in a couple hostels as well. One of the more notable parts of the trip, one of the more notable day trips, is our trip to the kindergarten. Their little kids there are absolutely adorable, and they love getting a chance to hang out with, older kids who have come to visit them, and just, getting to hang out with them. It was really, really fun. And there's also a lot of chance to get some community service in. So we help out a lot around the village during our 4-day homestay. We helped to pick up yak poop. That was actually probably one of the most fun experiences I've ever had in my life, and just kind of getting to laugh with classmates and also just pick up yak poop with some baskets and shovels. So personally, a couple of my takeaways from the Yunnan trip were not only closer and stronger bonds with friends, as well as getting to have some new friendships that I had formed over the trip, but I also took away a sort of new definition of what it means to be independent, and also what it means to adapt to a community that, you don't really know that much about, or that, you haven't really gotten the chance to experience. I know personally Yunnan provided so many new experiences and opportunities for me to branch out of my comfort zone a little bit and try things that I had never gotten the chance to try before.